Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Cyber Seniors webinar. Today, we will be doing a beginner's guide to video calling and video conferencing. So we're going to be going over what the difference of those two things are and some of the popular apps and platforms on which to do video calls and video conferencing. But before we get started, I am happy to say that today's webinar is sponsored by Breezeline. Breezeline is the 8th largest cable provider in the US. Breezeline offers internet, TV, and voice services to residents and businesses in 12 states. So if you're interested in learning more about Breezeline, you can visit them online at www.breezeline.com after today's session. And before we get started today, we do have a quick video from them.
Wi-Fi your way home, powered by Flume Home Pass. Technology that spreads ultra-fast Wi-Fi to every inch of your home. We make having a Wi-Fi supercharged home easy by including a SuperPod with your Wi-Fi gateway package. Learn more at breezeline.com.
All right. As I said, if you're interested in learning more, visit Breezeline online after this session. But also, today's session is about video calling and video conferencing. Video calling and video conferencing are something that require a pretty good internet in order to be able to do effectively in a way that you're not, all blurry and things aren't cutting out. So if you're looking to improve your internet service, Breezeline is a great option to do so. And with that said, we will jump into today's session. All right, so today's session is a beginner's guide to video calling and conferencing. So what we're going to cover today is what video calling is, how video calling and conferencing differ, what video calling and conferencing services exist, including Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp, and Duo. We'll go into a brief description about each of them, and then the best use for each service. We'll also do a small live demo of a few of these services just to give you a sense of what they look like and how they function. All right, so let's start with what video calling is. And for the sake of just this slide, I'm just calling it video calling. This also includes video conferencing. So video calling is very much like a regular phone call, except that it also includes visual as well as auditory communication. Most phones, modern phones, tablets, and computers are equipped to perform video calls. That's why you'll know if you've gotten a phone in the past probably 10 years, or you have a tablet, they all have front-facing cameras on that. Most computers now have web cameras. That is in order to perform video calling and conferencing. There are many video calling and conferencing services available that allow you to make such calls, each with their unique features and interface. So that's what we're going to be going through in this video, discovering what those platforms are, how they differ, and which one you might be interested in using. So, what is the difference between video calling and video conferencing? Now, sometimes called video calling and sometimes people call something video conferencing. These two terms often can and are used somewhat interchangeably, but they do have different meanings. So I may, be on a video conference and refer to it as a video call, just in casual conversation, and that often happens, so it's not to be confused. There is a difference between video calling and conferencing, and we will go over that now. So, video calling is the term that's generally used for video communication in the form of personal calls. So, we're using video calling apps like FaceTime, Google Duo, WhatsApp, and Skype. And generally when we're using these, we're doing them for personal calls, not business calls or anything like that. And generally, they make use of smartphones and tablets. You can make video calls from computers, but more often than not, we make them from phones and tablets. And that's kind of a general distinction of them. More often they are one-on-one calls rather than big group calls, but they can also be group calls. So there's some kind of in-between area, some gray area in the difference there. But video calling apps are specifically FaceTime, Duo, WhatsApp, and then to a degree Skype. Video conferencing, on the other hand, is the term used for video communication generally when it's work or community based. So these types of calls often involve more than 2 participants, and they may involve other elements like slideshow presentations or screen sharing, so to share videos or photos or any other documents or files that need to be shared in that context. Now, there are fewer of these than there are video calling services. Some of the big players are Zoom, which we'll be covering in this session, Google Meet, and Microsoft Teams. And they include kind of more features that a video calling service would feature, and generally they have an extended capacity to handle more users on a single call. All right, so now we're going to discuss some of these services, what they're about, what they offer, and all that. So first we're going to start with FaceTime. So FaceTime is the video calling service owned by Apple. It is pre-downloaded as an app on all Apple devices, whether that's an iPhone, iPad, or Mac computer. So it is the native video calling service for all of those devices. And it allows calls to be made with the same ease basically as a regular phone call. So the same way you'd make a phone call on an Apple iPhone is the same way basically you'd make a FaceTime. So it's super easy and accessible, and it works through using your phone number and what's called your Apple ID. So if you have an Apple device, you will be familiar with that account. It can be used to call from any Apple device to any Apple device. So iPad to iPhone, iPhone to Mac computer. It can be used between any of these things. The catch is that it's only available on Apple devices, so it can only be used to call from one Apple device to another. So that being said, you couldn't use your iPhone and FaceTime someone who had a Samsung phone. That would not work. It's not available outside of the Apple network, so it's kind of insular in that way. It does have the ability to allow you to make group calls, but it's limited. You can't have that many people on there. And there's other features included as well, things like video filters and newly introduced screen sharing. So screen sharing is where you can share your computer, phone, or tablet screen with the other person on the call, so they can see as you go through your photos or watch a video or anything like that. WhatsApp is a video calling and texting or instant messaging service owned by Meta. Now, Meta is the company formerly known as Facebook. Meta owns Facebook, it owns Instagram, and it owns WhatsApp. So this is primarily a instant messaging or texting service, but it also has a video calling component that's quite popular. And it allows for group video calls with a maximum of 8 participants. So you can have a one-on-one call or up to 8 people in a call. There is a time limit, however, of roughly 1 hour for a WhatsApp video call. After that, it does shut down the call. So there's a limitation there. It is free though. And it works on Apple and Android devices and all computers. So you could use this on a phone, a tablet, or a computer. Or most regularly, though, it is used on phones because it is used as a messenger service as well, much like text messaging. Next, we have Duo. Duo is owned by Google. Now, Google has 2 video calling conferencing services. They have Duo and they have Google Meet. Google Meet is their conferencing service. Google Duo is their kind of one-on-one video calling service. It does allow group calls up to a maximum of 12 participants. However, there is a time limit of 25 hours for Google Duo video calls. Don't know why you'd need to be on a video call for longer than 25 hours, but there is that limitation. And it works on all Apple and Android devices and all computers. And I will say this about Google Duo and WhatsApp and FaceTime, which we've all just covered. These are all set up generally through your phone number. So as long as you have a cell phone and it has the ability to connect to internet, you can use any of those services, and that's all you need. Next is Facebook Messenger. Again, this is owned by Meta, formerly known as Facebook. And this is Facebook's direct messaging or instant messaging service, but it does include a video calling feature, so I thought it worth mentioning if you're already a Facebook user to know that this is available. So it offers unlimited text, voice messaging, video calling, and group video chat features. On group video chats or calls, there's an 8-person limit. There is, however, no time limit. The only limitation on this is that you do have to have a Facebook account to use it, and you must be Facebook friends with the people you want to call. So you'll have to be friends with them on Facebook in order to involve them in a video call. This is unlike the 3 that we just covered, because you have to have a Facebook account. It's not necessarily set up through a phone number, but you do set up a Facebook account through a phone number or an email, but it has an extra kind of step to getting started and set up with. Now, last of our video calling services that I'm covering is Skype. That said, Skype does have a business version of itself that is considered video conferencing, but at its core, Skype is primarily a video calling service. It is owned by Microsoft. It allows for group calls with a maximum of 50 participants. There is a time limit of 100 hours per month on group calls, but there is paid versions of Skype where you can upgrade this to remove those limitations. So you could stay on a call for as long as you want, but you can only have basically 100 hours per month of calling time in the group context. This again works on all Apple, Android devices and computers, so you could use it from any device. More often than not, I have personally used this on computers, more so than I've used it on phones or tablets, but it is of course available on all. And the last service we are going to talk about is Zoom, and Zoom is a video conferencing service. Now there are others. There's Google Meet and Microsoft Teams that I'm not mentioning here. I'm using Zoom as our example. It is really widely used and has become very, very popular over the past few years. So even if you're not that familiar with video conferencing or calling, I'm sure you've heard of it. But if you haven't, a bit about it. Zoom is a video conferencing service owned by Zoom. So also of note, it is owned by its namesake company, unlike the rest of the video services we've called or mentioned, which are all owned by larger tech companies. It allows up to 100 participants on a group call, and that's for a free account. You can get more on a group call if you have a paid account, and the upper limit with paid accounts is up to 1,000 participants. And then they have a video webinar feature, which is different than just a video conferencing call. And that allows up to 10,000 viewers for a webinar. So it has a huge capacity to handle a lot of participants, which is great. There is, however, a 40-minute time limit for group calls, so calls with more than 2 people on the free account. However, one-on-one calls on Zoom have an unlimited time capacity. And with that said, the 40-minute time limit, basically when you start a group call, a timer starts from 40 minutes down, and after 40 minutes, the call does shut itself down, but you can easily just restart the call and have folks rejoin, and then it starts that timer again. So it's a bit annoying, but it's not a huge burden if you don't feel like paying for the account, and you still want to use it for maybe longer stretches of time. It does offer features like virtual backgrounds and video filters. So if you saw me in the video at the beginning, I had that little background. That's not actually what I'm standing in front of. That is a virtual background, which is a feature which is very popular on Zoom. It is used by some other video conferencing services, but Zoom is kind of the primary one that uses it, and in my opinion, has the best functionality for it. It also allows for easy screen sharing and virtual whiteboards. So screen sharing allows you to do basically what I'm doing right now, sharing a PowerPoint with you. You can also share videos and pictures, and what's called a virtual whiteboard, which is basically a whiteboard that can be worked on collaboratively with people on the video call, and it's right on your screen. They also have a feature called breakout rooms. And breakout rooms is really neat and very helpful in a lot of contexts. Basically, it allows you to break your video conference into smaller groups. So if you would imagine you're in a conference room and you have to do some sort of group task, so you're told to each go into separate rooms to work on the task and then come back into the main room when you're done. Basically, that's what breakout rooms is, but just in a virtual context. So it allows you to make smaller groups within the meeting without having to start new meetings, so off the original. So it's a really, really useful feature and very cool. Now that we've kind of got an idea of some of these services, we're going to do a quick live demo of 3 of these services, FaceTime, Google Duo, and Zoom. I'm choosing FaceTime and Google Duo as my video calling examples, simply because I find them to be kind of equivalents. FaceTime, obviously only available on Apple devices, but it's very popular. And Google Duo is what I would describe as the most similar to FaceTime in terms of functionality, but with a wider wider access range in terms of devices. So we're going to go over those, just a quick tour of each, and we'll start with FaceTime. All right, so the first thing we're going to look at, like I said, is FaceTime. I'm going to be doing all of my examples in this series on my iPad. So if you're on a different kind of device, whether it's an Android tablet or phone, or you're just on a computer, some of this stuff will look slightly different, specifically with FaceTime. If you're not on an Apple device, you wouldn't have it. But for the most part, they should be pretty similar on any kind of operating system. So we'll start with FaceTime. FaceTime, just for reference, on the icon is the app in the top left corner here, so you can see the icon there. So there's actually 2 ways, and maybe more, but 2 solid ways to start a FaceTime call. One being through the app itself, and one through your Contacts app. So we'll start with showing how you would do that on the app itself. So I'll open up the FaceTime app. And when you open up for the first time, you'll see basically it pulls up a video of you, so you can see what you look like before you put the call out. And you'll notice you have on the left side this black box. Mine is more filled out because I use FaceTime a lot. If you're new to FaceTime, that will be pretty much blank. This is a call log for all the calls I've made on FaceTime. So we can see all previous calls here. So if I've been making calls previously and I wanted to call any of these people on this list again, all I would have to do is click on one of those and I could put out a call. But say I'm new to FaceTime, it's my first time using it, and I haven't put a call out yet, so that's empty. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click this plus button right up here in the top right corner of that little black section over there. So I'll click the plus button, and then what it does is it wants me to address it to someone. So I can search, and I can search through people who are in my contacts, or I can just add in a phone number or an email that I have. So this works a lot like starting a new text message thread or a new email thread. So in this case, I'm going to put in my own email here, and I can fill it out. And here I can click on that option. And once I have that filled out, I can add multiple people to that as well if I want. But right away, you'll see these options pop up. I can make an audio call or a video call. So with FaceTime, there is the ability to make a call that doesn't have video. That just means it's just an internet call. So rather than using cellular data, it uses data, which is internet basically, a wireless internet on your phone. But I'm going to make a video call just to show as an example. And in my recording, my audio cut out here, but here you can see this call is going out. And what you'll see is in the bottom left corner of the screen, you'll have all the controls for the call. The video controls, muting your microphone, flipping your camera from front to back, and the end call button like you'd see in any regular phone call. Now, you'll be big on the screen until the other person picks up, and then what will happen at that point is their face will take over the screen and yours will go down into the corner. And then this call doesn't get picked up, so this is what's going to happen here, and we can just cancel out. But that's pretty much FaceTime at a glance. You'll see it works basically like making just a regular old phone call on any device. You call out, it rings for the person, they pick up, you have the conversation, and then when you're done, you click end call. Now, that is how you do it through the FaceTime app. But as I said, you can also do this through your Contacts app. So I'm going to go through my Contacts book. It's on the right side of my screen, second from the top here. And you'll see I have my contacts here. And what it will do is if I click on a contact, so say I'm in Brenda's contact here, because Brenda has Apple devices, it's giving me the option to call her via FaceTime video call or a FaceTime audio call. We can see it right below her name there. And so if I wanted to put out a call to her, I would literally just click FaceTime and it would send out that call. This will not appear for every contact. It knows which contacts you have that are actually users of Apple device. So say I clicked on this cottage contact here, we'll see there's no option to place a FaceTime call or a FaceTime video call here. I don't have the option because they don't have Apple devices. So it's simple as that. If it's available, and it will let you know. And if it's not, you just won't have the option. So that is quickly FaceTime at a glance. All right, and next we're going to look at Google Duo. All right, so now we're going to take a look at Google Duo. And just for reference of what that icon looks like, you're going to look center screen at the very top row of my screen. That is Google Duo, the app there. So I'll click into that. So here we are in Google Duo, and you'll notice right away it doesn't look that different from FaceTime in terms of setup. So the only difference is that my video's on the left side of the screen and the kind of contact/previous call section is on the right side of the screen. So here I am, and basically how you navigate this is you will see, I don't use this as much, so it's not as filled out as the FaceTime is, but you'll see previous call right here out. That's to my cell phone here. So any sort of previous calls you have. So you could easily just click on any of those to start a video call from there. Or you could click create a group, and then you could add multiple contacts to one call, and that's how you would start a video group call. But the main way you're probably going to navigate this is to click on where it says search and dial. It's pretty much the same thing we did with FaceTime. You'll click there, and then you can either search up a phone number or email that may be associated with an existing Google Duo account, or search through your contacts and those who are on Google Duo. So I'll tap there, and what it will do is it will bring me to the section, and it will bring up a keyboard, and I can start typing. So I'm going to type in what I did before, my contact in here. So there I am on Google Duo, and I can see connect on Google Duo. So all I have to do now if I want to start this call is click on that person's name, and then I'll have these options. Okay, do you want to make a voice call, a video call, or send a message here? And so if I say want to start a video call, I'll just click video call. So at this point, the video call will start going through, and you'll see yourself large on the screen. Now, once the other person picks up, your image will become smaller, and it will move itself into the corner of the screen, and then the person your call's image will be large on the screen. You'll see that you have two buttons on your screen. One is a white button with a red dot. That is an option that allows you to record a video message to leave in case the person does not pick up. And then you also have the hang up button, that red button down at the bottom. Once the call picks up, you'll also have options to turn on and off your video, mute and unmute your microphone, and flip your camera from the front to the back front-facing camera. And then again, if it doesn't get picked up, then it kind of tries to encourage you to send that video message there to record a message. But otherwise, it's just like this. You can click on the X in the top left corner to exit out that call, and then try again or start and try to call someone else. So that's kind of the basics of Google Duo. And again, last but not least, we'll be looking at Zoom, which, as I've said before, is a video conferencing service. So you'll notice it is slightly different than the two we just looked at, just in layout alone, and that there's generally just more buttons. So we'll look at that now. All right, so now we are going to be looking at Zoom, and this is going to be quite a bit different in a few ways from FaceTime and Google Duo, because Zoom is what we would refer to as a video conferencing app rather than a video calling app. So I'm going to start out by clicking into Zoom. So when I open Zoom, this is what it looks like if I don't have an account. So you can create a Zoom account, and that allows you to create your own video conferences and invite people to them. That being said, you are able to participate in Zoom calls and join them without an account. You can do so as a guest. And so if you don't have an account, there's two ways to join meetings. One is by receiving a link or a URL to a meeting. And generally that's sent via email. It may be sent via text message. So someone will send you a message with a link and you'll click on it and it will open up the meeting. But you can also do it manually using what's called the meeting ID. So every single meeting has a unique number assigned to it that allows us to join it. And so someone could send you this number and you could do it this way. So you'd open up the app. You'd find the join meeting button, or sometimes it just says join depending on your device. So you'll click join meeting. What will happen next is it will prompt me to enter in the meeting ID. So I'll do that right now on my keyboard. It's usually just a number. It's, I think, around the same length as a phone number, basically. And these numbers change per meeting. So usually it will be a different number each time you join a meeting. So I'll enter that in, and once it's entered in, I'll just click join on my screen. Now it will start joining the meeting. Occasionally, when you join a meeting, it will have what's called a waiting room, which you're seeing right here. It says the host will let you in soon. This is a feature of Zoom that allows the host to let people in when they decide they join, and it's also a security feature. So this is a key difference between video calling and something like video conferencing. Rather than just putting out a call, the person answers, and then the call begins. This one does work more like a meeting would, a conference would, or something like that. So it tries to replicate those real life scenarios by adding things in, like what they call the waiting room here. Now, eventually you'll be let into the meeting and the host will let you in and you'll join. Sometimes you get this screen that asks you to join your audio in a certain way, so you'll select the appropriate method there. And then here you are within the meeting. So you'll see already this looks quite a bit different than the Google Duo and FaceTime video calling. We have a lot more buttons going on, especially at the top. Now I'm actually going to pause this video now so we can take a look at what each one of these individual buttons does. So starting at the top, kind of on the right side, you'll see a little microphone button. That is your mute, unmute button. It allows you to turn your microphone on and off. To the right of that is the stop start video button. That turns your video on and off. And then when you have that green button, it says share content. On a laptop, sometimes this says share screen. That allows you to share your physical screen. So you can show people a PowerPoint presentation, photos, videos, and anything like that that you may want to share in a meeting. Then you have a button that says participants. So right now there's a 2 next to it. There's 2 people in the call. This allows you to see everyone who's on the meeting. So say there's 50 people on the meeting, you would be able to see all their names listed out. Then there is the More button. And within the More button, we have the chat, we have meeting settings, and certain other features that are really specific to Zoom. So the chat is a in-meeting instant messaging service that you can use. It's a really great feature there. Then if you look over on the left top corner of your screen, you'll see bottom left, you have a bunch of different dots there. That is a button that allows you to switch from what's called gallery view to speaker view. So right now I'm in speaker view, but I could switch to gallery view, and then you would see everyone's video kind of tiled across the screen. Above that, you have a camera. That is the flip camera button, allowing you to switch your camera from your front-facing camera to your back camera. And then atop of that, you have a red button that says leave, so you could then leave the meeting. Slightly different than a hang up button on a video call, because when you leave a Zoom meeting or a conference, a video conference, the meeting doesn't end, right? On a phone call, you hang up, the call is over. On a video conference, when you leave, the meeting can still go on with the other people in attendance. So another key difference there with Zoom and video conferencing as a whole. And when you leave a Zoom meeting, you're simply brought back to the home screen and you can join other meetings from here. All right, so to finish things off, I want to do a bit of a comparison of some of these services. So which is best to do with what kind of activity, and just a quick kind of recap. All right, so best for Apple to Apple calls, so that's from Apple devices to Apple devices, is FaceTime. Of course, it is the native video calling application on these devices, so it's the best one in terms of integration with the actual hardware, and it's just really super easy to use if you have an Apple device. It brings in all your contacts automatically, and you can use it as simply as you can use a phone call on your Apple device. The next best for large scale meetings is Zoom. That being said, again, a free account only allows you to have 40 minutes on calls of more than 2 people, though it does have a very large capacity for handling groups. And it has a lot of additional features that are still available even with a free account. Things like screen sharing, things like breakout rooms, and all that, and virtual backgrounds. Best for instant messaging, that's kind of a tie between WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger. So while you can use like iMessage on an Apple device and you can use Duo for some messaging, WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger are the best if you're looking for an option that also includes kind of a internet texting feature as well. Best for Google integration. So if you already have a Gmail account and use other Google services like Google Drive or Google Docs or anything like that, Google Duo is a good bet for you because it integrates with all of those services. The Google ecosystem as a whole is pretty widespread. They have a lot of programs and applications that we can use for everyday tasks. So if you do already use a lot of those things, Google Duo is a really great option. And again, I think in terms of simplicity, it matches FaceTime. So if you're an Android user, or you just are an Apple user and you know a lot of people who are Android users, this is a great choice. That being said, I do actually believe that Duo should be also pre-downloaded on all, some or if not all, Android devices, since Android is the Google operating system for phones and tablets. And best for teaching, I'll say teaching, and also best for any sort of things that involves components beyond just straight video calling, like screen sharing, or say you want to show a video, is Zoom. The integrated features in Zoom that allow you to share other components on your computer is, I think, unmatched, and it's also not available on the video calling services really to the same degree. So Zoom is the best for teaching and the best for just interactive meetings as a whole. All right, that is all for today's session on video calling and conferencing. I do hope you found it helpful, but of course, if you do have any questions about this topic, you can always call us at Cyber Seniors on our toll-free number, which is 844-217-3057, or you can visit us at www.cyberseniors.org. And once again, this webinar was proudly sponsored by Breezeline, and if you want to find out more about the services Breezeline offers and if it's available in your area, you can visit them online at www.breezeline.com. All right, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week and be well.